Hello, my friends. We're going to continue talking about A Course in Miracles, and we're going to go back to Lesson 24. Not doing things in particular order. Um, Really, it's by inspiration and intuition, and also what I feel like talking about. And Lesson 24 is I do not perceive my own best interest. And that definitely takes some explanation. So we're going to cover just a paragraph or two from the actual textbook, and then we'll unpack it uh, together, you and I. The reason why it needs an explanation is how can I not know my own best interests? If I don't, who would? And of course, the answer is God, or love, or Krishna, or the Tao, the universe. Doesn't matter what term we use. Um, but for the sake of simplicity, mostly we're going to use God. And God knows our best interests better than we do because we are coming from an egoic perspective, believing that the ego is an actual entity in which we are, that we are this small, limited, separate self, navigating through a meaningless universe filled with fear and thoughts of separation, as well as violence. However, that's not who we are. But when we believe that we are based in fear, when we believe that fear is an actuality, then we are going to see a world that is full of fear. We're going to project that fear outwards. Um, and if that's the case, if we're coming from an illusory existence of fear, then how could we possibly know our own best interest? Look around. How much of this is for our own best interest? Not much. You might be able to pinpoint a few things. However, even those things, if we examine them and we see their fleeting nature, how much dependent they are upon all these other outside circumstances, if one thing goes wrong, the entire castle falls back into the sand. So let's read, again, we're just going to read a part of it. In no situation that arises do you realize the outcome that would make you happy. Therefore, you have no guide to appropriate action and no way of judging the result. What you do is determined by your perception of the situation, and that perception is wrong. It is inevitable, then, that you will not serve your own best interest. Yet they are your only goal in any situation which is correctly perceived. Otherwise, you will not recognize what they are. Let's go to verse 2. If you realize that you could not perceive your own best interest, you could be taught what they are. But in the presence of your conviction that you do know what they are, you cannot learn. The idea for today is to step forward, opening your mind so that learning can begin. So what the Course wants to do is dismantle our belief system in the outer circumstances of the world. We think our own best interest is solid things of the world, certifiable things of the world, things that can be measured and counted. And of course, all of that is an illusion. Because who's counting? It's the ego's way of keeping score, keeping track of who's ahead. But in the actuality, in reality, how can one thing, one reality, one love, ever inch out another? How could it ever have a higher score? It would be an impossibility. Our best interest is always love. This is why the Course says, this is why Vedic philosophy basically says the same thing, that we have two voices playing through our heads at all times. We have the voice of the ego. I, me, mine. I want this, I want that. I don't want this, I don't want that. Always, always, I. And it's always screaming. and it's always wrong. And then we have the voice of God. We have the voice of love, which is always right and always has our best interests in mind, because how can lack, how can fear, how can anything that is not love exist in the truth of love? It's an impossibility for there to be anything else. Therefore, our best interest is always loving. Our best interest is to always give someone love. Our best interest is to always forgive, not for the sake of someone else, because there is no someone else. Our best interest is to forgive so that we return to peace, so that we regain the ability to listen to that ever-present voice of love that is just clouded over by all the fear that we are projecting out in the world. It's a possibility. The Course teaches us how. Yoga teaches us how. Buddhism teaches us how. All the mystical paths. We meditate so that we can listen better. We do breath work so that we calm the mind, we calm the body, so that we can listen better. We do our yoga asanas so that the body is at ease, the mind is peaceful and still, and we can listen better. It's the same with prayer. Prayer is just a deep form of listening. We think of it as a petitionary thing, but after we say our prayers, we listen for the response. If you're hearing a loving thought, then you're hearing the true voice. That is the answer to our prayers. We are then perceiving our own best interest. So, guys, let me know what you think. That's it. Take care.